Morning, everybody. Today we will study the information organization, as is we say I/O. So let me summarize about this one because this class is continued last class. So let me summarize that the information organization and then continue this chapter. So basically classification and name giving. We have a lot of information and this is regarding for information. So we say information organization. Why we need this title in disciples? How do we transfer or understand or deliver it to knowledge, information, everything to others and to ancestors? Here, history. So at the time we need for two things: classification and name giving about the information, and then we can study more disciples, delivery and teaching, learning, everything we can do based on these things. So many kind of information. How do we organize that? Through this classification and naming. So this is normal concept, so you can know it there. Classification means sorting. This is for library, this is for science, this is for natural science, something like that. And name giving is how do we call them. So naming is for very important for sorting. So these two things is the foundation of information organization science. As you know, this class is information science. There are two kinds of approaches. One thing is scientific research. It means it's using the statistics and mathematical methodologies for information through the scientific methodology. Also, the other way is for how do we organize the information and knowledge. Information organization also very similar K. K is knowledge. Knowledge organization. The information organization and knowledge information is very similar concept. So mostly we say the synonymous, but in the discipline schemes we separate it. So last week I talked to you all activity or talking or thinking, everything is, we say, this history. The old things, everything. So in the missionary, say his story. Anyway, the story means is some history means is some trace and some put ways. So history is accumulate, and then we say this data. Normally, all occurs things we say the data, and data has many information and knowledge and some everything is input in here because it is a history. And how do we know the data and using the data? Nowadays, it's big data. As you heard several times, big data. because its data is very huge, tremendous volumes or more quantity. So it's a big data. This is another disciples in the newest university level, very big research area. And how do we using the data? There are many kind of methods, data sorting, and research and develop, and some data mining, and search engines, lots of things from this data. And then data is occurs information or knowledge. So why are we using the data? There are many kind of ways. Final information, final goals is how do we make the information and knowledge from the data, and how to making decision or decision making. Decision making means now we buy it or not, now we sell or not, now we going there or not. This is decision making. Last week I talked to you. You guys is coming in school in here for done rate in this class. So at least I start the school from home about 10 minutes before or 15 minutes before. So this is for data, I experience. And then the Monday is very hard traffic. So I wake up early 10 more minutes. This is data. But the Tuesday and Friday is okay to a little bit 10 minutes late starting. It's okay to arrive on time or something like that. So this is data. And then the data is calculated or the remind your mind or thinking that this is information or knowledge or history. So you decide your action. Okay, I have to go right now, or I have some take time in my home about 10 minutes. 10 minutes is take time, something like that. Every disciples and science follow this. Today, also this class, we are information science. The story, how to we sorting and naming in the information organization. This is information science class. So some information science classes, they calculate through the statistics or mathematics, and then make information and knowledge. There are many kinds of the analysis program, SPSS and SAS, and as you know, this Excel, these programs calculate the analysis the data. This is a very excellent area for your young guys, for your new trend and fashion for your future. See? Anyway, so this is for IO, information organization. So last week, we reviewed IO versus knowledge organization. This is KO. So the term is to treat it as synonymously. And also fundamentals of the information organization is 5 dimensions. How to occurs the information organization. So we can identify the 5 dimensions. The IO has been developed in theory and in practice. First thing is the phenomenon. It's rooted the ontology. Ontology. Today is the ontology. Ontology is to wait. Ontology existence. Also, this is for later. We'll tell you something about the ontology. Is metaphysics. Metaphysics. This is concrete science. Concrete science and metaphysics. This is basic of the philosophy. You know the college level. So at least you have to know the what is the difference between metaphysics and between the concrete science. Concrete science, we say the joke. This we have a belt, and below belt. Concrete science. It includes some you have no sex or some between men and women, something like that. So we say this below the belt science. Over science is metaphysics. I think this you guys is the Asian can reading the Chinese letter. Something. So some Korean and Chinese or Japanese knows it. This word. This is the below belt is this one, and metaphysics is this one. So it means it's mental related to mental. Anyway, this ontology is related to the metaphysics. Metaphysics. So this chapter we mentioned the meta data. So later we will review the details. Anyway. Ontology, 5 dimensions of the information organizations. First, identify the phenomena and the perspective and document, correction, and finally we can use the user, this type. And also 4 basic approaches to classification. So it's a basic approach methodology is nationalism. Is based on the logical application of rules based on the clearly stated fundamental principles. This is nationalism. And the other basic approaches is empiricism. Empiricism means is experience, history. This is also based on the assess of the similarity according to neutral comparison of all available criteria. It's empiricism. And third basic approach is historicism. Historicism is positivism is actually occurs. So historicism. And final basic approaches two classification methodologies. Pragmatism. Pragmatism is very actual using. This is pragmatism. We have some four kinds of the basic approaches. And we reviewed the subclasses style or hierarchy system. So I said that is first the part of the horse, for example, and human body. And the sorting is by arms and elbow. Elbow belongs to arm. Arm belongs to human body. This style is for part of the whole is a subclasses style. And today we will continue the information organization. It's metadata. The definition is by the Oxford English Dictionaries defines the metadata as data whose purpose is to describe and give information about other data. Okay. Here you go. The Oxford English Dictionary defines the metadata as data whose purpose is to describe and give information about other data. This is metadata. So, because this is for starting for data is very tremendous, huge volumes. That's why we are sorting there. How to. This is one of the sorting and classification about data. So in the context of information organization is generally understood as data which describes the nature and subject of data. Nature and subject. So the metadata in reverse I say they must be included nature and subject, and we can use the metadata. So the generally final goal is to understand through the data, include nature and subject. So for example, MS Word HTML or some XML. This is for extent data sorting and saving style. This is for it's related to nature. So there are many kinds of documents HTML. This is your subject here. So this one is for information, introduction of information science. This is type.html. This is for filing style. This is subject. This is nature. So metadata is also follow this method. This is for very easy for using your computers and documents or any kind of data analysis tools, Excel or SPSS or SAS, lots of the data analysis tools. Is also they have some nature. Problem is that the SPSS data output and the Excel data output is convert or not. This is point. So somebody using the Excel point, but Excel is different for nature. But the SPSS and SAS is to storage is different nature. How do we convert? As you know. So when I was in college students at that time, this computer is DOS system. Now we're using the computer is mouse. Oh no, I'm sorry. The internet base. So, but first time these operating systems developed the DOS system. So at that time, did you remember something this type copy A4 B dot and enter. So we're using the floppy disk input and something operate and change the another B floppy diskette and then waiting. Why? Because at that time we don't have the operation system OS. And Microsoft is developed the DOS system first time. This is not internet based, so only typing. So copy or paste or something. Everything we gives the order sentence. So when I was at the university students, I learned this type, but now it's I forgot all of them. Also, there are some synonymous C, this is complex and Fortran, and nowadays is some another lots of the Visual Basic, Visual C++, something, lots of computer languages. So we can use that very easy operating system. But basically nowadays follow the DOS system in the program. So if you have some problem in your computers and then you fix or some virus and some you need to cure and then fix it your computers and then experts using the DOS system because the basic operate depends on the DOS system. So now you are very easy to only mouse that, but former style we're using only typing. Every language using the order sentence thing. So very interesting thing. Very quickly change the situation. Before the time, my professors using the punch key system. At the time, we don't have the personal computing. Before that time, there's a supercomputer is using the punch key. So my professor says he has to brought every big bag for punch key card. But later, I need only 2 floppy disk because at the time we don't have the operation system, OS system, and quickly changed the operation systems developed by Microsoft, and it'll be easy to using the mouse system. So very quickly change that the situation. Anyway, okay. Let's come back in here. So as you know, this HTML PDF file, something is to metabase, metadata, storage, and some sorting by nature and subject, all documenting. Or pictures. Pictures also documenting. And there are 2 kinds of separate approaches to metadata. So one of these long-standing bibliography approach. Last time I don't understand exactly the meanings bibliography. So, but this is different story. We have the two separate approach to metadata. This is a long-standing method is bibliographic approach. Bibliographic. Approaches. So bibliographic style approach. And the other one is, where is it? Okay, first is bibliographic approaches and the library data. Where is it? The other one is. Internet and digital resource approach. Internet and digital resources. So how to approach the metadata? Two things. One thing is bibliographic approach methodology. The other one is internet and digital resources approach. It's two kind of separate approach to the metadata. So I don't want to do the deep meaning in this one. So only just briefly review the things. And the bibliographic metadata is very long-standing, means it's traditionally we approach that only two things, two components, descriptive and subject. And subject. So how to using the metabase through the bibliographic approaches? Two things: descriptive narration or writing, descriptive, and subject. I said the subject and nature. We need two things: metadata. There are two kinds of metadata methodologies. One thing is bibliographic is descriptive, decorate, and explain, and also subject. This is for bibliographic style. Now I am also confusing why I don't know the bibliography is in the library, because it's a textbook and reference book and bibliography. Very similar. Last week I talked to you, we are syllabus every subject, and I give to the syllabus textbook information. So this class, Introduction to Information Science, second edition by David Bowden and Lynn Robinson, and published by Pescit Publishing and 2022. But this style is textbook style. The references is how to we supported by this class and this subject. This is references. References is textbook. Another textbook is also same, and the newspaper and YouTube and some other information list. This chapter I write there, the references is a theory of information, fundamentality, diversity, and unification organizational behavior by Mark Burdin, published by Rice University 2019. This is for references, this type. But the bibliography is different. Bibliography approach is descriptive and subject. Something like the dictionary is include this bibliographic style. Dictionary and handbook. This is bibliography. How about the Bible? Bible also bibliography. Sometimes we're using the references this time. So anyway, the bibliographic approach is using two methods, descriptive and the subject. Okay, the other one is the internet and the digital resources approach. And as you know, the internet and digital resources is, as you know, there are many kind of information in the internet and also digital. So many data in there. This approach style is meta-based one of approach method. So, for example, the metadata serves numerous purposes. Metadata is very numerous goals. For example, for distinguish. How to distinguish? First thing, identifying, describing information resources, and retrieving information, managing information resources, managing intellectual property rights, supporting e-governments and e-commerce, and enable information governments, something like that. So metadata is very numerous purpose. So what kind of do you want information, and then using follow the same style. So also there are many kind of supporting system. We say sometimes we identify the purpose, regions, different types of metabase. Is also can distinguish. The distinguish method is also one of the meta-based approaches. And I say this is a descriptive subject, naming, it's very similar concept. Also, let me introduce the distinguished. Another method is I want to introduce 5 kind of the metadata. One of them is the administrative method metadata. This is for administrative metadata gives information on fact. For example, acquisition, appraisal, location, responsibility for item and dates, by which item should be reviewed and discarded. This is administrative metadata. And the other one is for distinguished, include right method metadata. Rights metadata. It is set out intellectual property rights, access restriction, and instructions on reproduction and dissemination. This right. Right here, because I'm very poor sound. Descriptive is first descriptive. Administrative. And right metadata. right? Metadata means a set of the intellectual property RSA and preservation metadata. It describes a physical condition of materials and actions taken to the preserved domain is preservation metadata. And the other one is distinguished by technical metadata. It gives information on technical issues, for example, file format, or software requirement. This is for regarding the technical metadata. And the last one is a structural metadata. You are very boring for this class because why? You are lots of the heard the information and science, but why we very confusing this style or more metadata or more some distinguish or more classification and administrative very difficult things. This is for disciples in the college level. That's why we have to know this type. As you know, the HTML or HWP or something, very popular. You're using every day. But how to read this one? HWP. I say this is nature. And what is subject? Okay, this is for document 1.hwp. Is document first. I naming this one. And HWP is standard. Everybody using this one. So naming and subject and nature. This type. That's why we did you study these things in the college level. Also, this subject belongs to the general education. What's the meaning of general education? General education meaning is you are living in the society, how to use the methodology or approach to your problem in the society. At that time, you have to using your knowledge, basic knowledge, especially basic knowledge. This is for general education. So, okay, let's move to how do we define the meta-based standard. What is that? How do we make the standard? Why we make the standard? Standard meaning including for everybody knows it, everybody accepts it. In all over the world or all over the situation, all of this generation, the standard. We decide. Later we will review the index. Also for example, NASDAQ. We make a standard using the index. So 1980 January 1st stock price I index it 100. That's it. This is standard. And then several decades passing that to 2024 February 8th, now 10.498 index. This is we are making the standard. also metadata is very tremendous volumes, and so how do we make the standard? Because everybody knows it, same knowledge. That's why we have to make the standard about the metadata. So metadata of all kinds is prescribed by metadata standard, sometimes also referred to as a metadata format or schemas format. Or how to say the schemas. So there are many kind of various formal definitions, but the standard is generally regarded as a set of people or elements with rules for their use, designed for a particular context. This is standard. So, but because of the varied purpose and the context for metadata, there are, so we say the jungle of metadata standard, because there are many kinds of standards. So who decided? This stock price index is very popular, decide all over the world. The stock index, stock price index, something like that. So everybody accept that and using this type, because they are all area, all of the members accept the standard. So using the index. Oops. So, but also same as the metadata, also using the standard or formats or schemas. So sometimes there are many kind of purpose and the context for metadata. That's why we say a jungle of standard, because there appears everywhere, everything's very widely or more constantly giving their information. So all metadata is generally taken by three components. Anyway, we are different or more various standards, but finally or generally taken there are three components. First component is semantics. Semantics meaning is some meaning, the theory of meaning, the semantics. There's a metadata, three kind of components. First, semantics is the theory of meaning. Semantics, because the metadata has to have some meaning. This is semantics. Second is content rules. This is to governs the contents of the metadata itself. For example, exactly how we state the name of the authors. A family name, or a first name, a second name, a middle name, a last name, or we say there's a given names. But you're using the initials, something like that. This is for content rules. This is for basic component of metadata, because why everybody using this style, this metadata without the confusion. So we say content rules. And syntax. Third component is syntax. It means the metadata is encoded, for example, coding in XML, HTML, something like that. So extended file naming. This is for syntaxing. So we say the perspective of the standard or format or schemas, the metadata have three kinds of components, and then we say the metadata because everybody using the everywhere because we are standard. So semantics, content rules, syntax, and then we say the metadata. It's very basic concept of the approach. So it means the other say the metadata need to three components. First, meaning and rules and the syntax. And then we can say this metadata. And also the another researchers gives the distinguished 4 categories of metadata standard. Just like briefly review the another 4 categories of metadata. First, standard for data structures. How do we define the standard of the metadata structure? And the other one is standard for data content. Structure content, data content, and standard for data exchange. Okay, categories, the structure. And standard for data context. Contents. And third categorized is exchange. Exchange means is developed, and then the data is developed and changed or resorting or something like that. And the other one is categorized standard for data values. I'd like the values. Also, there are some other components is standard for structural data. And the other standard for data for preservation metadata. Preservation. Another thing categorized, they are standard for document markup. There are many kinds of components of standard for metadata. Metadata structure, contents, exchange, values. Mostly accept these 4 components are categorized as metadata standards. But the other researchers added structural data, preservation data, document markup, something like that is another categorized of metadata standard. And also the another approach for information science is resource description. Resource is the origin. This is the provision of descriptive metadata of documents following contents rules. It is developed categorizing bibliographic and library materials. So categorize or classification developed in the library. As you know, there's lots of books and lots of information in the library. So how do they develop that? There's a library. So some people like the books, and then they make some major in the master level. So every school or every organization with a library, they have to hire the librarian. So librarian is some license system in the United States, and the most schools and some organization must be hired the librarian. Librarian is master level, a little bit higher level. So librarian is very difficult area. So I think the information science approaches to in disciples follow the librarian developed styling. So librarian resource or librarian methodology is same adapted in the information science. Also the every disciples. So first is the resources description. Resources description means is what is the origin or where is the origin or something like that. Resources. So and then the resources as developed from the categorizing. So I say this bibliography or the library materials. So there are many kind of using for creation of bibliography, database, or resource description. These two things is very normal approach, very general. Resource description and bibliographic metadata is very general approach thing. Just I introduced to you guys how to sorting them. So you saw every times in the library they are sorting to A2, B2, C2 or something, but I don't like this style. It's very difficult to find my purpose or goals, finding some textbook or some research data, but research papers, very difficult things. Nowadays, very easy because it's just sit in my office and the computer can find, very easy to find my goals for some literature paper. But last time, very copy and finding some books and finding some check box, very difficult time. But now very easy to study. Anyway, so the resources description has some functions. So find, show, help. Why are we using the resources? The goal is that find, show, and help. Very general concept. Why are we going to the library? Okay, find some data, some paper, some document, and then the library wants to show them, or I find the data and I introduce to others, or transfer to others, and using the data for my research. This is show, and finally. The original resources description is help to others, help to other side, help to other part of the approach. So find, show, and help. This is a resource description functions. And the resource description should allow the user to achieve that. It means is resources description shows to the some goals to approach to users. So it is find, identify, select, obtain, explore. So this is my main major. This is not my major, but almost 3 decades I using this type of study my major. But this class is Beijing methodology, so I have to study for you guys this class. That's why sometimes I'm laughing or very smiling for how to we make the sorting or distinguish or classification this subject, and to achieve, to get achieve. Okay, anyway, first find and identify. So for example, if I find some document or research papers, and then I can identify for my productivity for 2020 versus 2024. This is for find some data and identify this is for very increasing some productivity or decrease the productivity, something like that. And identify. And third is select. Select means is I decide my goal in the library, and then I select that. Because there are those, for example, human beings have developed a living standard. That's the themes, and then they selected the data. Which data? It's economic data or happiness data. There are many kind of data, and I selected for my goal, people happy or not, something like that. Let's select. And the obtain. Get, obtain. How do we get this data or information? So the resources description has to have the obtain information in there. And the obtain is explore. Explore is if I selected or obtained the data, resources data, and the discovers the resources using the relationship between them. And finally, the resources in context. This is for explore. So, okay, I find some data for happiness for each country, and then I compare. So, obtain the data and compare and developed, and then I announced in the context. That means it's documentation, and then other people very easy to compare the each country happiness index, something like that. This style for resources description style. So my major is productivity and strategic decision making. This is my final detailed major in my lifetime. So how do we approach the strategical decision making under the unrisky situation or more risky situation? There are many kinds of risky. How do we get the optimal solution? Now I can teach is optimal solution or not, or I compare the teaching between this school or other school, or teaching and the research is better, which is better, something like that. Anything wants to get a optimal decision making. Which one? Which method? Strategical approach. So many data find, and then I can identify some data, new data. We say the secondary data, and select, and I get. obtained. And explore means is developed and more study. So my focus, this one. First time when I was finished the PhD, I focused the productivity. So productive means is ratio transaction up and dividing. Very simple. This is productivity. Maximize up, but minimize input. How do we control? This is my PhD concern. And then now it's changed this one to a strategic methods. So that's why these things is basic for approach the resources development. Also, there are some classification theory and categorization, type of classification. There are many kind of things, entity classification, enumerative classification, very detailed, these books. Even if this book title is Introduction of Information Science. So this is for another major part. So I don't want to detail the contents, okay? So now pass, and taxonomy is some kind of classification, is sorting by some phasing, and the ontology I say is existent. So at the basically you graduate the university college level, so metaphysics versus a concrete science. What is the difference between metaphysics and concrete science? We say the divide belt. Below belt, what is that? Concrete science. It belongs to which subject? Okay, medical in here. Social science is here, over here. Some related mental or more psychology style belongs to this one. For example, business. Business included here or belongs in here or here. I don't know. Some areas belongs to metaphysics, the business. How about the economics? Economics exactly included in here. But business is a little bit includes the concrete sciences a little bit, because it's related to basic human mind. Because I'm very hungry. Hungry is belongs in here. But I'm very difficult mind belongs in here. So this is ontology. Ontology. So sorting another methodology for metadata. This subject is metaphysics or ontology part or concrete science part. This is also another methodology of metadata. Okay, that's just it. Exactly two things belongs in the philosophy area. Okay, just to I passed. Okay. So finally, I summarized the information organization (IO) is basically we knows it as classification, classification, and name giving. things. We have tremendous idea or tremendous data. How do we approach that? There are many kind of methods. Identify, index, something, name. Yeah, very kind of methodology. Only things. Okay, classification and name giving. And then you can become some special area expert if you are creative. So there are many kind of method, information, organization, or knowledge organization. So a little bit different, but now we using the synonym. That's it. So first, remember basic demanding ones. How can we metadata? Classification or name giving or naming is two basic approach. Okay, that's it. Today class. Any question? Okay, thanks for coming and see you. Because it's a different recording system is very strange. So she's covered the screen. I just joked. Okay, see you next week. Okay, bye.